What's happening, people? What you need in the building? I rotate. No. What the hell? How's it doing that? Hey. Okay, I gotta go this way. Okay. I'm a hand camera hold this and talk to you guys at this point in time. All right. So what you need in the building? Brook versus uh, Terrence Crawford. What's the difference? What's the difference? Okay, so Terrence Crawford, of course, stopped Brook in the fourth round of their fight with what is known as a check hook. So he hit him with a check hook. I hear some people that don't know how to describe the punch. They said half hook, half jab. It wasn't a jab, it was a check hook. He hooked over, I think he hooked over Brook's lead right or jab or something. I think they were both throwing at the same time and he countered him. Now, first of all, Terrence Crawford is definitely a thinking fighter. You know, he's always making adjustments. He's always adapting. And I think Brook, you know, everybody talks about how Brook, you know, deals with southpaws and all of that stuff. But he actually fundamentally made a flaw. He fundamentally had a flaw in that he let the southpaw have lead foot dominance. So let me just get into everything so you guys can understand what went on. Okay, so Brook showed why he's Brook. His timing was beautiful. You know, he has a shorter reach, but he still found range, and he was landing his jab. And he was landing double right hands when Terrence Crawford then, in the second round, went southpaw to try and make an adjustment because he was getting outboxed by Brook when he was fighting orthodox. So he went southpaw. On going southpaw, as Timothy Bradley and Andrew Warsaw correctly said, Brook's jab became less and less of a factor. He was still throwing it, and he was kind of catching Terrence Crawford at times, but was less of a factor. So his lead right hand became the play. Again, Brook showing beautiful timing and offense, double right hands and stuff like that. But while that's going on, while they're playing chess, Terrence Crawford is inching in on Brook, and of course, Brook having the shorter reach wants his preferred range, so he's inching in. But Brook is not paying attention to the fact that Terrence Crawford is getting lead for dominance as he's inching in. And I almost could see it as it was playing. I said, Terrence Crawford is going to try and hit him with the right hook. He's inching in to try and counter over his jab or counter over his shot with the right hook. And true to form, that's exactly what happened. Now, why it is that Brook was not paying attention to that, I think one of the two reasons is Brook found a range at which he was effective in. As such, because of that, Brook decided to sort of ignore range. And I always tell you guys, range is everything in boxing. And what Brook was supposed to do is when Terrence Crawford takes 2 steps in, he was supposed to take 2 steps back, right? Or at least 2 small steps back. Or he was supposed to counter him, okay? Counter that forward movement to keep Terrence Crawford off-putted. Now, Terrence Crawford would snap back. You know, he had these little feints where he would snap back, as was Brook doing when they're inching in on each other in the same plane, when they're directly in front of each other, because they were fighting mostly directly in front of each other. And, excuse me, the thing about it is that that Brook ignored that. And maybe it is because he's trying to keep in his preferred range and stay close enough to Terrence Crawford so he could land his shots, because, again, he had the shorter reach. But I thought that's what set him up for that check hook that he didn't even see. You know, Terrence threw the check hook short and fast because he wanted to get back on defense, because he wasn't sure if Brook would counter him, because Brook was landing punches. So to be defensively responsible, he went back on defense. He got his hand back quickly. So it was a short, quick check hook Brook never saw, and that stunned him. And Terrence is the guy who will jump on you when you get stunned. So after Brook had not recovered yet from that check hook, Terrence Crawford jumped on him, and then the referee, who is usually a guy who lets the fights play out, he saved Brook from getting dropped to the ground, because Brook was He was hurt. The punch, he never saw it. Kell Brook's not a chinny guy, but he never saw that punch. So he went into a defensive posture, and it was surprising because because Kell Brook was able to Terrence Crawford was able to stop Kell Brook. I did not predict that. And there's no excuses. Kell Brook was fighting phenomenal. He was fighting very, very well. I never expected Terrence Crawford to stop Kell Brook, far less to stop him so soon. I don't think anyone was expecting that. And he outboxed him. He outplayed him. He outtricked him. Kell Brook wasn't paying attention to what Terrence Crawford was doing. And when you have a guy with a longer reach than you, sometimes you try to get out of the way of a punch and you still get hit. Keith Thurman versus Josecito Lopez is a perfect example. So, Kell Brook actually, this is so fucking, sorry about this, but right now reflux is just really affecting me in a negative way again. Really, like serious reflux. It's on me again. I'm the idiot. Keep doing stupid things to make this reflux possible. It's on me. Just gonna drink some water. That sorted out. When you're talking, I can feel the freaking gas coming up. So this is what I do. Wow. Sorry about that. So anyway, effectively, Kell Brook, wow, that's some serious gas coming up. I feel it. So effectively, Kell Brook, he ignored that to try to keep range. And he should have been smart enough to make the adjustment. He did not make the adjustment to what Terrence Crawford was doing. And that's the fault of Kell Brook. He's very good. But as Timothy Bradley and Andrew Ward both agree, he doesn't really make certain adjustments later on in fights, which he should make, to guys. He didn't make the adjustment with Errol Spence when he got his eye hurt, to protect his eye. And here, he was having success, no doubt about it, but he wasn't paying attention to the adjustment that Terrence Crawford was doing to him. And he got caught, So that's the difference between Terrence Crawford and a Kell Brook or other fighters who are, they're good at what they do, but that ability to make adjustments on the fly rapidly, they're not able to do that. And so that's why I listened to Terrence Crawford assess Kell Brook as was he the most difficult opponent he has faced. He said no. He said, Kavaliauskas was better. Even Benavidez was better. He said Jeff Horn was more awkward. And I guess because he solved Kell Brook really quickly, he would say that. That's a fault on Kell Brook's part, though, that he was not perceptive of what Terrence Crawford was doing offensively. I think he was preoccupied with the success he was having, landing his punches initially in the fight, and he never saw that check hook. And that's something, again, defensively responsible people. And I said Kell Brook gets caught with the jab, very easily. And what Kell Brook will be seeing in this fight. And unfortunately for Kell Brook, that's it for his challenge for the welterweight championship of the world. He got beat by Terrence Crawford faster than Amir Khan got beat, And so that's what it is. Terrence Crawford's assessment of him was that he was on the same level of, say, Amir Khan. I guess that's for set up Brook versus Khan, I guess. You know. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Um, that's the assessment. Terrence Crawford, I told you had too many tools for Kel. I don't think that really a right hook in the southpaw stance is necessarily a tool, but I've seen Terrence Crawford do that, use that right hook as well against. He's done on several occasions actually. He used the right hook against Kavaliauskas as well, and he had success using the right hook against him. And so he went back to the right hook, but the first time he presented it, the right hook, he got results because Brook wasn't looking at for that, and he wasn't paying attention to the fact that Terrence was getting lead for dominance on him, inching in. Which, if you're a guy that spars southpaws and stuff, you should know this stuff. Like, this is stuff. So it is what it is. But Brook came in, looked sharp, looked very good. No excuses. Terrence Crawford didn't beat a damaged goods Brook. That's not true. Brook looked very well. He just got caught with a punch he never saw. That's boxing. So that's my assessment on the situation. Note to upcoming boxers, you need to know how to distance control. Terrence Crawford knew that Brook was not really a big inside fighter, so down the stretch, if the fight went down the stretch, he was going to try and work his body, get to the inside, close the distance, which is what he started to do. And Brook wasn't paying attention to that. So, I mean, Terrence didn't even get to warm up on Brook and do what he wanted to do. Brook was out of there after the check hook, so it is what it is. All right. Future boxers, always distance control. You have to keep something on the guy. You got to occupy him with something so you can keep distance and range. When you're moving backwards, either using the jab to keep the guy at bay or your right hand to keep the guy at bay. Also, I always explain to people, when you're circling to the power hand of a guy who's a southpaw, you must keep range or distance on him. Right? Because or you must have an evasive tactic. You can't just shoot a shot and try and block it. So that's what I said when you're circling a certain way. Teofimo Lopez versus Lomachenko is a good example. With Terrence Crawford versus Brook was trying to circle away from Terrence Crawford's power hand, which is the conventional way people do it. Terrence was trying to circle to his power hand. Actually, he was circling to his power hand, also keeping lead foot dominance at the same time. And Terrence, because he's got quick reflexes and stuff, he was able to negate some of Brook's shots, but he did get caught with some lead right hands from Brook. All of this just to say to you guys that, you know, range is very important in boxing. And I think Terrence thought that he could beat Brook, but Brook fought from the outside. So it's a note to self on distance control. That's the mistake that Brook made in that fight. That's why he got stopped. Like Teddy Atlas always says, you got to control the turf. If there's guys coming in, closing the distance on you, you want to keep distance on him, then you better put something on him. You better have something for him. He must pay to close the distance. So that's what I got for now. That's the assessment of Terrence Crawford versus Brook. Excellent performance by Terrence Crawford. He's a thinking fighter. What can I say? Will he be a problem for Errol Spence? Absolutely. Will he be a problem for any of those welterweights in the welterweight division? Absolutely. Because he's a thinking fighter. And I told y'all guys, I said it on some cast, he's the real deal. You know, a lot of people are talking against Terrence and saying Brook had a chance. I didn't see it. I saw him having a unanimous decision because of his ability to adapt. Wanted to make the appropriate assessment. He showed his ability to adapt. It did not go to unanimous decision. He got Brook out of there early, so kudos to him on that. But he did show his ability to adapt, and what separated him from Brook, who didn't have that kind of ability to adapt. I like Terrence Crawford does. What you need. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. Peace.